Right. We start our county board meetings with the public comment option. We have 2 minutes per speaker. Anybody wishing in the audience to speak to the county board, we ask you to step to the podium and give your name and address. And also if there's anybody online that wants to give us a 2-minute speaking opportunity. So is there anybody in the audience that would like to address the Winona County Board?
Commissioner Ward, I would. Can you hear me?
Yes. Who?
Hello.
Yes, please, go ahead.
This is Chastity Siraki. I live at 1254 West 3rd Street in Winona. I'd like to comment today regarding the committee of the board meetings. There have been 2 requests by commissioners within the past 6 months to add discussion topics to the agenda of the committee of the board that have not made it onto an agenda. According to the minutes of the April 22nd, 2025 county board meeting, quote, on motion by Commissioner Ward and seconded by Commissioner Elsing to add a discussion regarding public data request process at a future committee of the board meeting, end quote. And according to the minutes of the September 9th, 2025 county board meeting, quote, on motion by Commissioner Ward and seconded by Commissioner Elsing to add a discussion regarding the potential creation of a citizen advisory finance committee at an upcoming committee of the board meeting, end quote. I'm very concerned that the requests for discussion made by our elected representatives are being ignored. And it doesn't escape my attention that both of these particular requests could potentially lead to actions that place greater scrutiny and accountability onto county administration. I hope that this is just a mere coincidence. I request that the board demands that these items be added to the next committee of the board agenda. And if there are other ignored motions for discussion by any of the commissioners that I've missed, I apologize. Any request by any commissioner that is seconded for discussion should get the attention that it deserves. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to address the Winona County Board? Is there anyone else wishing to address the county board? And last time, is there anyone else wishing to address the Winona County Board? Seeing nobody, thank you very much. We'll move on to item number 4, approval of the county board meeting minutes. We have 4.1, the county board of October 14th, and 4.2, the closed session of October 14th.
I'll move. I'll second.
Yeah, but motion by Commissioner Elsing, second by Commissioner Meyer to approve the meeting minutes. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Meeting minutes approved. Moving into number 5, acknowledge receipt of approved committee meeting minutes. 5.1 is the Parks and Environment Advisory from August 5th, 2005. 25, I mean. Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Olson, second by Commissioner Vagley to acknowledge the receipt. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, approved. All right, item number 6. This is consent comments and approval of the agenda. Attorney Sonneman?
Nothing for me tonight. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Vagley?
Few things, please.
Is that at the end?
Yeah, at the end.
Announcements type of
Yeah.
thing? Okay,
I'm sorry, announcements and a request.
and a request.
Possible future agenda. request.
Okay, all right. Commissioner Elsing?
Comments at the end, pull 7.3 and 7.6 for discussion.
Okay, 7.3 and 7.6. So let's make 7.3 8.0, and you said 7.6 is the Pavera. 7.6. We'll make that 8.05. We'll put those at the beginning of the general business if that works. Okay. Commissioner Olson?
Nothing for me.
Okay, Commissioner Meyer?
I want to give an update on the hazard mitigation plan review, and I have a request for board action.
Okay. All right, Ms. Holte?
Nothing, Madam Chair.
Okay. I have some questions. 7.1. So I want to pull that, so make that 8.0, I don't know, 6, I guess. And let's see, we pulled 7.3 and we pulled 7.6. 7.7, I would ask for a separate vote, so make that 8.07, please. And then just a comment at 7.8, if I could. You can read that, and I'll make my comment so the public knows what we're doing there, please. And then I'll have a update from my AMC regional meeting at the end of the meeting. So with those corrections,
I'll move to approve the agenda as it was amended.
Second.
okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Meyer, second by Commissioner Olson to approve the agenda as amended. Okay,
Good luck.
all right.
We're
Okay.
gonna do all
Oh,
in favor?
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, approve. Now, if we can figure out what we changed.
All right, please correct me if I say anything.
That's okay.
wrong. Okay, 7.1 was pulled. 7.2, approve resolution to cancel stale warrant checks. 7.3 was pulled. 7.4, award bid for CASA 26 bridge replacements to Icon Constructions LLC. 7.5, approve resolution for local road improvement program projects. 7.6 was pulled. 7.7 was pulled. 7.8, approve Minnesota paid leave policy. 7.22, comment.
The
Commissioner?
comment on that one is so that the public knows is that that is part of, have I got the right one? Part of the state of Minnesota's brilliance to add additional paid leave for our employees. And this is not only government, but it's private sector and any business with a certain amount of employees. And it does cost us, it is an insurance policy that is being split between the employee and the employer. And it doesn't sound like much. It's like 0.88% of payroll, but for Winona County's portion, if I've got this right, is like $225,000.
40, I think.
It's approximately 1% of levy.
Yeah, it's approximately 1% of levy that the great state of Minnesota has decided it's a good thing. But everybody is going to be paying for that. So it just so people understand the benefits are always changing. Thank you.
7.9, approve updated Americans with Disabilities Act Policy 1.11. 7.10, approve authorization of contracts for septic system upgrades using watershed-based implementation funds. 7.11, approve renewal of gun range agreement with Winona Police Department. 7.12, approve resolution for donations received July 1 through September 30th of 2025. And 7.13, confirm payment of disbursements.
I move to approve the consent business as it was read.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Commissioner Meyer, second by Commissioner Vailey to approve the consent business as read. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Okay, that is approved. Then general business. Let's see,
8.0, 7.3.
7.3, Commissioner Elsing pulled that?
Yep.
All right, and that is on page 141. Okay. Your questions, Commissioner?
Yeah, so just a couple things, and I want to bring this up more in a public aspect. So more people are aware of some of the things that we have to do in government. One of the questions that I have is this, a lot of this is done through the lacrosse. Is that out of lacrosse? Any of this, I know this Winona, but isn't it governed? Isn't it something to do?
They
the-
have a location.
Location lacrosse, right?
Yes.
Okay, but one of the questions that I have is having multiple locations, is this in being kind of the dominant side of things, is there any checks and balances to these rates? Is there a way to say, hey, this is competitive? Is anybody else offering this? Because it's, there's some a lot of money we spend here, so the question is what's stopping this from just being out of control, I guess? Again, we go back ways to cutting cost.
Mhm.
And some of these things that are mandated. Is this something we could be doing in-house? Is it something that there's a lot of cash sitting here.
Wait.
So
This is a grant, right?
No, this is
No.
levy
This is
money.
levy,
levy money.
all out of levy.
I can follow up with the questions. To the best of my recollection, there are not many people who provide these services locally.
No, and that's why I look, because it's also in lacrosse and it's here. And I'm just saying, that's what scares me, is that there's not.
Mhm.
And, if this was $15,000, but when you start looking at $250,000, it's 1% of what we do.
Mhm.
There's discretion in that. So I just wanted to pull it on that. What's the kind of and then also there was zero history as to, has this gone up exponentially over the last few years? Are they coming down based on competition? So I'm just wondering, what's the system of checks and balances? Because again, it is a pretty substantial amount of money. And is there a bid contract? Could we award a bid contract? Is there another way to do it, I guess? So.
I can follow up with the questions. I don't have all of those at the top of my head.
Is it imperative that we take action, or can it be tabled?
That was my last question.
I would anticipate that we could table it, being that the contract is not applicable until January of 2026. So I would think we have a little bit of time to
And
ask
then
questions.
maybe just see, is it going up or going down? And if nothing else, I doubt they're listening. You start asking questions and oftentimes people get a little conscious about their rates.
Mhm.
So,
Well, and it's 63 clients and we've spent 207,000. So, that's over $3,000 per client. So I'm not sure. Yeah, it is a good chunk of change.
Yep.
Okay. So
that's
we
just
will
to
table-
date, and we still have a quarter left.
Yeah.
So if you look at that, it's about a little over $250,000, 275,000.
Mhm.
So the number's actually significantly more than
Right.
that.
So, a
Oh,
motion to
sorry.
table.
I would like to motion to table it and just get a little more information on it, I guess.
I'll second that motion.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Motion made by Commissioner Elzing, second by Commissioner Vagley to table 7.3 until a future meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, tabled.
Make a motion to pass that coffee.
Okay. Let's see then, Commissioner Elzing, you had 7.6.
Oh, yeah.
That's the Kavera.
You gotta sell me on this.
Yeah, and you weren't here for our last meeting, right? Page 174.
Good evening. Todd Seller, Director of Human Resources. So Kavera, did you have some questions first or?
Well, obviously I wasn't here the last meeting, but I still wanted to bring it up because my biggest fear, I'll make my comment first. My biggest fear is we get started and we can't get off. And we create a service, there's an expectation that it's always there. The price goes up, nobody's actually using it, but heaven forbid you take it away, right? We see that just in anything, right? It can be anything. So that is my biggest fear, is that is just going to be realized. There's a savings of 60,000 or something like that. I read.
So I'll start with the savings is 120,000. That's a reduction in our Blue Cross Blue Shield premium,
But it cost us.
but it's 60,000 cost. So it's in essence a cost factor. You had asked me to really push the numbers and get a cost factor savings. It is a $63,000 savings for us. Now, as far as the contracts itself, it's a 1-year contract. And it's not a defined product in any of our contracts. So we can, if we're not seeing the results, we can pull it.
So my question is how did we determine the 120? Did Blue Cross Blue Shield say, we will give you $120,000 credit? Is that correct?
Reduce, not a credit, reduce our premiums
Reduce it,
Yeah.
however that looks like.
to do this. If we don't do Kavera, then it is an increase in our premiums. Yeah.
Is there a,
Writing.
okay,
We've got it defined. I mean, that has been defined. Yeah.
that was my, I have a series of things here.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, writing is part of that and making sure that, hey, you
It
can't
is.
go back on that.
Our premiums are set with this.
Right. So, but I go back to elude this. Today it saves us money. Eventually it could be cost neutral and eventually it could cost us money. And then we created another system that we've got another service we got to pay for that may or may not be used. So I just want to make sure that, the history is that it continues to save us money, or it's just the catch to get you in the door. Next year it goes up, the year after it now becomes an expense. So somebody needs to write that down in their calendars like I do and scroll 3 years ahead and say, review this.
Yeah.
Because oftentimes it's like insurance. They get you in the door and it goes up. So,
And like I stated before, I mean, my expectation from North Risk, since we have a consultant now, is monthly trends. Where are we at? Who's using, not employees, but what are our trends utilizing it? And what are our trends as far as our utilization of the other products that we have in our insurance?
so 3 years from now, I want to review.
Well, no, 1 year. I'll be back in front of you in 1 year.
We have a motion, Commissioner, to approve by Commissioner Olson, second by Commissioner Meyer. A couple comments. I'm not comfortable with this thing. And actually and I had heard briefly of this and I gave it to Ms. Holte at our AMC meeting yesterday. There's a partner with AMC about a champ plan, and I'll ask you to look at that. And there's a webinar or Zoom coming up within the next week of a type of program which actually puts more money in our employees' pocket. Reduces employee FICA tax by $500 per participating employee per year, and zero net to the employer. So there's a lot of things going around that I don't know if it's something we can jump on quicker than sooner than later, but a whole different thing. And it's related to health care, and similar to what you have there. And then from a personal experience, can I opt out? I don't want this, but you got to pay $27 for me because I'm on the county's plan.
Yeah,
I can't opt out.
it's every insured life that we
Yeah,
have. Yep.
Okay, see,
Yep.
I don't like that either, but Commissioner Vagley.
I'm gonna vote in favor of the motion. And last meeting, I asked this and I just want to state it again. This is optional for employees, correct?
It is
No.
No
correct.
one has to do it. So
It-
They don't have to do it, but we have to
Have
pay
to
for it.
participate.
But in
Yeah.
terms of, they have the choice.
Yeah,
So,
they don't have
and
to.
a year later, we're going to see it. We're gonna return.
Right, right.
And I'll just say off of that, I mean, I think we're gonna see more and more trends like this because we're losing more and more doctors in our rural communities. And when you can use an online like this and have a service that'll do a lab, I mean, like I mentioned, I had 4 kids. One gets strep, you're taking them all to urgent care, you're spending hours there, you're getting, exposed to other things. So I do think it's gonna be a benefit. It's just getting our employees to utilize it. I hope it's not gonna be, I'm not gonna say that it's gonna be a cost increase. It shouldn't be. We should see a cost reduction next year when I come in front of you with our premiums.
Now, there was a clause in what I read, you're visiting with non-physician healthcare professionals. So is a registered nurse a non-physician healthcare person? Sounds like you're not talking to a doctor when you call in.
They have to be able to prescribe medication by law. I mean, they have to be licensed at some level, a nurse practitioner, yeah, physician's assistant, nurse practitioners, right?
And the last question I have, did our insurance company vet this? We have an internal insurance company, don't we, Drew?
MCIP?
No.
The insurance committee.
Insurance committee. Did the
You
insurance
had an
committee-
Yeah, I had an insurance committee discussion with them, yeah. Yep. That was brought up at our,
I'm not optimistic about this program, but we have a motion and a second. Commissioner Elsing,
Yeah, and if we can stack horsepower, let's stack horsepower,
if we can do this, I don't know.
you know where I'm
Yep,
going with
I-
that.
Yeah.
I just, again, the red flag goes up because these programs get started and then it kind of falls in. We forget why we did them and it just becomes an expense down the road. So thank you. No, I agree. If it's going to save us money and it's definitive and we know it, we just need moving forward, be cautious. So I'll support the motion.
But with caution, does this become a union negotiated item?
Well, so I did ask that question, brought that question up.
it is not defined in our contracts. I mean, we don't have Kavera is going to be defined in our contracts. We have what we have defined is what our percent that we pay as the employer of their premium.
And I was disappointed. There are no other county. You gave me a handful of people using it and there were no other counties. And I wasn't able to get a hold of any small cities that are using it to see what their track record is. So again, when I don't have any other counties in the state of Minnesota using it, I'm a little apprehensive because I'm not a groundbreaker. We towns like to follow each other. I don't like to break ground.
If we can get a cost savings, that's my.
I won't get a commission on it though, for Winona County. All right, the motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. I'm gonna say nay. Prove me wrong. All right. Now we've got
0.7.
Yeah.
7.7. Yeah, let's go to 7.7. Approve non-union wage grid amendment.
Should approve. I'll second that.
Also, yeah.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Olson, seconded by Commissioner Vagley to approve the non-union wage grid amendment. And again, we've lost an opportunity to do any kind of pay for performance, so I will not support it. So all those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay?
Nay.
Nay. Okay, 3-2, pass.
You did not discuss item 7.1 that became 8.0.
Yeah, I'm going,
You're there?
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I'm
I
sorry.
wanted to make
Thank
sure
you.
You didn't forget it.
Yes, thank you. Okay, let's jump back up to 7.1. Approved contract with Justice Management Institute, page 132. And I guess I'm all these great things that have reports and everything, but this one, I think the funding I think we really have to look in our whole budget thing of this 50-50. So we get a grant, but we still got to come up with 10,000. And I hate to say it, you guys have always told me what a great job you're doing, all the good things and everything. So why do I need a report telling me that? Or what is the expectation results of spending 10,000 out of my local property taxpayers for this type of report or whatever it is? Educate me, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for
Thank
the
you.
question. Gwen Herbert, Executive Director of CJCC. And I'll be up here for the REP Plus program here in a minute too. Yes, the 50-50 grant situation is the good and the bad. So their rationale for doing it is so that they can offer more of these opportunities to more people. So double the people that they can serve, and they're asking for some investment back from the jurisdictions. But yes, especially for smaller jurisdictions like ours, that is a lot of money, and I want to acknowledge that. What this can provide us. So the reason that I was interested in it, I attended the National Network of CJCCs at the beginning of September, which was run by the Justice Management Institute. So they're the ones who have created the national standards for CJCCs and are really the gold standard for helping CJCCs become more effective and start in their inception. I talked with many people who have used them for their technical assistance and heard nothing but fantastic things. They were able to help their CJCCs run more effectively, do even better work. The reason that I really felt like it was a good time right now to do this was because of the reason that we haven't done strategic planning for CJCC in over 10 years. And I'm about a year and a half into the role. I really felt like we needed it a year ago, but I was still taking my time to get my feet under me. And at this point, it feels like it's a really good time. So what they're able to provide is really the foundation for which we can jump off and do our own strategic planning. The fact that they're able to do these interviews with all of the main council members and provide that report really, people are going to probably be able to have more kind of conversations with someone like that than they would with me. And I really think we'll be able to suss out some things that we can focus on moving forward. We just have not had the opportunity to do something that in depth up through this point or in the last decade or more.
I'll move to approve what was item 7.1. Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Bagley, seconded by Commissioner Olson. But there again, I'm sorry, what are they going to tell you to do a different form to process people, or, it all sounds good on paper, but I guess I'm still unclear as what we will gather from this. So yeah, they're going to interview people, and I'm sorry, most of the people are going to be, oh, this is great, a great program, you should keep funding it, but.
Well, and the interviews aren't going to necessarily be about how effective CJCC is. It's more, the questions are going to be more, can our justice system be more effective, and really getting those sorts of stories out
We
and
have no
together.
control over the justice system. That's at a higher pay grade than ours.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
If I could give just one simple example. So what Director Herbert talks on in here is that the last thing that I was involved in was the sequential intercept mapping that came up with a list of 10 or 15 things that are missing from the community. So one of them was that then the courts committee took a part of, and we don't have results yet that show us the savings, right? But we now do pretrial monitoring. And that was the thing where the courts committee of the CJCC came up with a plan, working with Department of Corrections, so that rather than stay in jail for X number of time until your arraignment or whatever, certain sets of folks who had been arrested could be let out with a monitor. So it's less expense for us in the jail. It's less expense for them. It doesn't create a public safety problem. And it is kind of works out better for everybody, but that's an example of an item that was listed in the last sequential intercept mapping, and that the team, sort of different committees of the CJCC worked on. So some of them do save the county money, and they really are looking for things that are missing and where we can help people better and potentially save money. So.
But wouldn't you rather take the $10,000 and put it towards the existing programs that you're always looking for more funding and everything, help some more drug court people and stuff like that?
Yeah, and if we were talking about next year's budget, 100%, this is the timing of this, I felt like was good. in that the reason that there is even that money that's left here is because I wasn't able to spend as many hours on my contract at the beginning of this year due to some personal circumstances.
Where does the other 10 come from? State, federal?
So no, it's a grant through the MacArthur Foundation to the Justice Management Institute.
So I guess that now you've confused me. Is this funding for next?
No,
2020?
the goal, yeah, we would be spending it in 2025. The kickoff, and if
Did we
approved
have
tonight,
this budgeted?
Yeah.
Ms.
Yeah.
Hogan?
There is the money in the budget, yes.
But not,
It
there's
wasn't.
just
it
extra
wasn't
in that professional.
specified at the
yeah.
beginning for.
There's
this
extra in
purpose.
that professional contract. That's the slush fund. I'm sorry, as I refer to it.
well, it's all my hours. That professional contracted services is
And
just my contract.
Not a slush. fund. I mean,
Well,
but
everybody has it in their departmental budget, and believe me, it
This is not,
covers a very broad type of
this
project.
is the professional services contract that runs Ms. Herbert's work, which is very,
100% that line item.
yeah, it's not, it doesn't go to fluff stuff if you want.
But
the
how did we
word
come up with an
fancy.
extra 10,000 then if
Because
it was
she
her
said-
salary?
She said that she wasn't able to generate the hours due to a personal.
So I charge hourly.
Yeah.
So it's
Okay.
not,
hours.
Okay,
yeah.
so you saved this $10,000.
Save the 10,000.
And hopefully there was,
We should just put that in the bank instead of, I don't necessarily need to spend it. Okay, all right, you know my feelings there. So let's see, we had a motion by Commissioner Vagley, seconded by Commissioner Meyer,
Also,
Olson.
sure.
All those in favor of approving the contract for the Justice Management Institute? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Nay. All right, then let's see, we have enough. Did I have another one?
I think that's it, isn't it?
Let me just check. Yeah, I think,
We made it.
I'm surprised, Commissioner Vagley, you didn't pull the bridge one, because bridges are very
$3.4
expensive.
million.
Bridges are very
$3.4
expensive.
million.
Well, speaking of bridges,
You-
we
you
said
see-
our legislators, we need to educate them, and we'll have new legislators and county commission and everything. And I highly encourage, because we have a number of highway engineers in the room, to take new legislators out and go under the bridges. Don't drive over them, go under them, because the road and bridge amount of money, tax money is getting cut too all the time,
I support
and
it. I
expense.
just want the
It's
public-
huge.
The public to know how much
Yep.
these, and that's not a big bridge. It's not a heavily used bridge.
It's our biggest one, though. I think it's our longest one in Winona County or
In terms
something
of
like that.
span, yes.
Yeah,
In
yeah.
terms, I should say.
Yeah, they're
traffic
huge.
volume.
Bridges, yes, bridges are very expensive. Okay, then I apologize. 8.1, general business, receive presentation on reentry assistance program plus, and that starts on page 235.
hello, me again.
Back again.
Thank you for having me tonight. So this is another example of something that has come out of CJCC's work, and I wanted to come in front of you tonight to explain a little bit about how we use the money that was given to us by you all for this past year. This past year, as you might remember, was the first year the RAP Plus program received county funding. Up through now, or up through last September 30th. It was under a series of, at first, Minnesota state grants and then federal grants for the last 4 years of the program. So for anybody curious to hear a little bit about the program itself, a reentry program in its simplest form helps folks who are incarcerated reentering society more successfully. And our reentry program is a little bit different, and I'll talk about that here in just a little bit. So to give you a sense of the program staff that work on the program, we have not only myself here, but also Trish Chandler, and Katie Shield. Trish Chandler is jail intake worker. Katie Shield is our jail social worker. Our RAP Plus case managers are Trish Costello there. She's employed by Hiawatha Valley Mental Health. And then her counterparts here, Sheer. And then our treatment court coordinator, Karen Hyder, is also one of the case managers. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here tonight. She's at a training. And then the Hiawatha Valley supervisor is Kate Dieter. Myself, kind of oversee all parts of the program. Our department head is Sonman. And then we wouldn't be the program we are right now without of our community referrals, mostly coming from DOC probation, public health, Hiawatha Valley, CHIPS, and Common Ground. So the idea of the program being a plus, so it did start as RAP and then we added the plus. The idea of that was that it is not just a program for those who are coming from custody. It can include anyone with any justice contact, including a call for service, welfare check, CHIPS case, et cetera. Of course, available only to Winona County residents. But the idea of the program is that it's both used in intervention and prevention measures from future justice interaction through addressing root causes for that interaction, including, as we know, mental health and substance abuse treatment and then all of the social determinants of health otherwise, employment, housing, transportation, education, food, and social integration. So the idea is that the more that we can help people before they reach the level of being arrested, that we can save the county money, but also keep our community safer. So just a sense of how the program works. Folks apply through the program. The jail intake worker processes those applications. Then they are assigned a case manager, either through Hiawatha Valley. So that'll be for anybody that is outside of custody. That's who they're assigned right away. Or our treatment court coordinator if they're sentenced in. And then anyone who's in custody will be on a caseload with the jail social worker until they're released and transferred over to Hiawatha Valley. The program does give a financial assistance that's all managed through their case managers. So the case managers have to approve of the funding with the client, and then that is sent over to me for initial approval and then to our department head, Ms. Sonneman. The funding requests that come through manage things like assessments for mental health and substance abuse, housing, education, identification, clothing, transportation. And everything that is applied through for funding is tied to their individual treatment plan. And their case managers are the ones making those decisions and then also deciding when they might be ready for graduating from the program. So to give you a sense of budget, because I know that's on everybody's mind right now, the total budget this year is the jail social worker and fringe, and then $64,200 for contracted services and supplies. So that's $49,200 that go to recovery support services, which are all of the things funding requests are submitted for, and then $15,000 for program management, contracted services. Those are my hours on the program. This summer, you all approved an agreement with Hiawatha Valley for additional services with the case managers, and that was an additional $31,000, but that was funded through the Cannabis Substance Abuse Prevention Grant, and then the $3,500 from that program management contracted services above. This year, we also received $60,000 from the opioid settlement fund, and we have made that request again for 2026. So in sum, levy dollars paid for the jail social worker position plus $4,200 for the entire program. And there's no changes to that in this upcoming budget request. I want you to know what a good steward I have tried to be with all of that money, and really want to show you in the subsequent slides what value it's bringing our community.
Question on that.
Yeah.
Social worker. So our jail population hovers around 16 to 20, it seems like. So is that a full caseload for a jail social worker? If we had more prisoners, we'd need more staff? Or is this a part-time position?
I can assure you it is not a part-time position. Katie Shields' role is very full. So her caseload is not only anybody who's in custody and everybody who's in custody, but also those that have been released that have not yet been assigned to a case manager at Hiawatha Valley. So that caseload could be anywhere from 20 to 40 people. And I have some numbers here on the subsequent slides about the number of folks that she met with. But she is not only just doing case management for those people, but a lot of other functions. Namely, she is the conduit for the court-ordered and otherwise substance abuse treatment, making those connections, actually finding beds, getting behavioral health funding to help pay for that treatment, and getting them off with supplies that they might need to be successful in that transition.
So not having a lot of experience in the criminal element. So is everybody that goes through jail gets a caseworker? They can't just do their time or pay their fine and leave? Everybody gets touched and handled here?
So everybody will meet with the jail social worker, yes. So they have access to use
Is
her.
that mandated or is that option? That's
It's not mandated, yeah. No, this was something we decided to implement to be able to address some of the needs that folks coming into custody were having. So for example, she sits down with them and they say, I don't have a place to live. And she can start identifying a treatment plan and saying, okay, how can we get you some resources to get connected to housing, or food, or clothing, or treatment, any number of things. A lot of folks that don't have any forms of identification, she can help get a copy of a birth certificate. She can start some paperwork on a driver's license, things like that. So yeah, everybody has access to it. It is a service that we find immensely helpful. I think the jail, as I've talked to them, finds immensely helpful to be able to condense those needs to one place. Those requests are still going to be made of someone. And we know the jailers don't really have the capacity to handle that. And yeah, so without that role, and as some of you know, Katie has resigned. Her last day is Thursday. So we will find out very quickly what that feels like to not have that
Sorry,
central
what did you
hub.
say? She's
Uh,
resigning?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so she served as the hub for all county resources as well. So she was the one who could interface with the behavioral health funding and applying for insurance and things like that. She could work with county staff to be able to do that. Now county staff will have to go over to the jail to meet with inmates to help make that happen. Namely for things like substance abuse treatment when it's court ordered. So it's not something that's just an inmate requesting it because they would like to do it. But often it is a condition of their release. So it needs to be done by someone. So at this point, without her role, it will have to fall to jail staff and county staff.
So a short answer was if we had a full jail, we would need more social workers, you're saying?
Yes, or we would not be able to have any sort of the level of service that we currently have. Yeah.
Okay.
But let's not talk about increasing jail population.
We built a big jail, in my opinion. We built too big of a jail. And it's, again, if you watch the roster, luckily it stays about 16 to 20. Maybe it bumps up over the weekend a little bit, but it's held there. And so my question and public question is, are we overstaffed? Are we spending more on it than we anticipated with those kind of numbers? Because it was all predicated on having more, unfortunately, predicated on having more prisoners, but that's not you don't want more. I agree.
It's a comment I get from the public all the time also, as you all probably do too.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
So a few of our numbers this is just up through Q3, so the end of September just for this year. So 304 people were met with, and this is the program, not just the jail social worker, and were offered Rep Plus and either declined or were disqualified. A lot of those people are not Winona County residents, so that's the reason that they were disqualified. 92 accepted applicants, and just for reference, that same period last year was only 60, so we are seeing an uptick overall. 66 from the jail and 26 from custody, outside of custody, so about 75 from the jail, 25% out. 55 people then engaged with services with Hiawatha Valley case managers, and 119 funding requests were approved, and we have 22 graduates. Just one other number that's as current as of now too, we have 21 people on the wait list, and that is the first time that we have had a wait list for the program since I took over a year ago. So the next slide here talks a little bit about the outcomes for our graduates. And this is over a full year, so a little different than the last slide. So this would be Q4 of last year and then up through Q3 of this year. So you can read through those stats, but some pretty remarkable numbers for folks leaving the program in terms of health insurance and compliance with probation and parole, housing, income, identification, treatment. And that one I just want to highlight, this is not just who entered treatment, but they were continuing treatment or had completed treatment, but that continuing beyond graduation, I think is something we can really be proud about. So, and similar with that mental health treatment beyond graduation. So this next slide, talking a little bit about that return on investment. I know that's incredibly important to all of us to make sure that the money that we're spending is a good use of those dollars. So that national research is showing the reentry programs have a return on investment of about $3 to $7 per dollar spent. It's a pretty big range. I realize it's also really difficult to compare our program to other programs because, as I said, that typical reentry program is really only looking at folks who are coming from incarceration, where we really are broadening it as and using it more as a prevention measure as well. So our ROI is likely much higher than that because of how robust it is. And during that last federal grant period, we had a 15% recidivism rate. So that was returned to custody with new charges. And just to give a sense of recidivism rates in Minnesota is about 40% and about 70% nationwide. So a pretty great numbers there. And just as a reminder, that lower recidivism rate really indicates that lower cost to the justice system as well as increased public safety. And that 80% employment rate from that previous slide means more tax generated by the county. I wish I had data like that ROI for Winona County specifically, but that would cost us a lot of money to try and figure that out. And we just don't even have the data to look at it. But it's something that I'm trying to always keep in mind, how we can make sure that we are showing that value to you all. Generally, I just want to emphasize how much value this is getting based on the cost that it is currently counting the county. Because this is the first year that the county has covered the jail social worker role, I wanted to give some specific numbers on that. Again, just sort of an overview of that role. Meets with every person booked into custody and creating a customized reentry plan for those individuals. And that's ongoing while they're in custody. So whether or not they are there pretrial or in sentencing, they have access to meet with that person in an ongoing way. She's applying for that behavioral health funding, which used to be called Rule 25. Again, that is for any person desiring treatment, but also for that court-ordered treatment. And signing up for health insurance, community referrals to other community resources. And then, as you may be aware, there's a new state-mandated discharge reentry plan for any person who's been in custody for 90 days or more. And there's still some details being worked out about that, but it does look like that will be largely falling on the jail social worker. And then just some numbers specific to her. So Katie met with 377 unique individuals, opened 460 cases, 79 referrals for that behavioral health funding, and 69 referrals for mental health evaluations for Hiawatha Valley.
But that's just for 3/4 of the year.
Yes.
How do we get up to so many people when we don't have that many people in jail on an ongoing basis? Is it times they met with them?
That shows you how much churn there is. So there may not be a lot of total people at any one given time in custody, but it tells you how many people are in and out. Yeah.
And that also includes people who are not yet in the criminal justice, not there. It's not just jail inmates.
This is, yeah,
This is
because this is the jail social worker. So she is really only meeting with people in custody. Yeah. Although I will just say as an anecdote, at this program that I went to in September, we got to tour the Las Vegas County Jail, and their jail administrator called it the people have access to this jail social worker staff because they have 6 of them. If they come in the front door, if they come through the side door, so the side door being that they're being booked in. So he wanted to make those services available to anyone in the county and not have to be booked into custody to have them, understanding how much value it was bringing in. So in that case, maybe someday it would be something we could look at.
I get a comment though, something about having to live in Winona County. So we have criminals that don't live in Winona County. So
Yes.
are they provided these services or no? This is just Winona County resident?
They have access to the jail social worker regardless of their residency. The RAP Plus program is only for Winona County residents.
How do they establish residency? You say they're home, they don't have places to go.
So yeah. If they're homeless, we ask them to whether or not how long they have been residing within Winona County. But yeah, it's a bit of trusting, and that I would say that the questions on that are few and far between, though. Most of these people are known in the community.
But if she meets with everybody booked and they're not living, but they're not living in Winona County, then that ends?
They would not be offered the WAP Plus program, but they would have access to her while they're in custody.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not doubting, the help that this product is, but is the 15% is that just based on graduates or is that the whole number of people?
Yeah, it is graduates.
Just the graduates?
Yeah, and doing research about how to look at that return on investment, there's a lot of folks really cautioning that a lot of that investment is going to be coming from people who aren't necessarily successful graduates, because we know any amount of services we're able to connect with people, they are getting some value, right? We know it takes the average of accessing substance abuse treatment usually 7 times before someone's successful. So if we've helped one time in that, it takes 1 off of the future times that it takes to get them there.
When you looked at the comparative numbers at 40 and 70%, was that kind of skewed in favor because they're looking at anybody that's in jail, or are we comparing apples to apples? I'm just trying to,
Yeah.
seems like a pretty big difference there.
Yes, you're right. So the 40 and the 70% numbers are compared to people
Of
who
all
have
people.
not had access to a reentry program.
So if we
Yeah.
looked at ours and said we had 400 people have access and the amount of, that would increase our number significantly from 15%, correct?
For our
Under
general
the same
county's
statistic.
recidivism rate.
Right.
Yes,
In
that would be a very different
comparative
number.
aspect.
Yeah.
Our number would be up significantly from 15%,
Right.
right? When we
Yes.
look at that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, do we have a number with other programs that reduce, to really put this in?
I would love that number.
Right, so I mean, if we did the math on ours, what would a true number be?
To compare it against.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To put it in the same statistic as 40 and 70.
It is a dream of mine to be able to come to you with that number, because I would love it.
I mean, like on our math, like if we had 400 people and how many people, the recidivative rate based on the total amount of people, not just the graduates.
Oh, I see what you're asking. Okay, yes.
That would be more comparative to the 40 and 70,
Have you
correct?
ever looked at that?
I think what you're getting.
Trish is the one who helps out with a lot of
Yeah,
data
no, just
questions.
like,
Yeah, yeah.
Because that would be a fair comparison.
What you're getting confused about is you look at the large number, those are people that aren't even there. She's giving them services,
Right.
and even if it's not RAP. So that the 15%
It's just who's graduated,
is from people that are in our program.
the graduates, right?
So if you look at that, any low number of recidivism is great.
Yeah.
Not to mention that the people that whole big, huge number that the jail social worker is giving resources to, we don't really have any way to collect data on that. That's a big, people have been trying to do that forever. We've talked about that in CJCC. I track, but there's no way to pull the numbers. We need to have some kind of system to do that. And to get numbers like that costs money, So
Maybe that Justice Management Institute can help you there.
I do think the data will be one of the things that they talk to us
But I
about.
mean, just on simple division, if there was 400 people, X amount reclined, X amount didn't do it. A certain amount did do it. So out of the total number, we could figure out, it just would have to divide that in. And that would be more reflective on the 40 and 70. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Like what the total percent of people that are incarcerated to some degree, whether it's long-term or overnight, and then how many people,
Yeah, yep.
But I think something to point out here is, Commissioner Ward was speaking about the jail numbers being down. All of a sudden, the jail numbers are down. This is a good example of this program could very well be why they're down. Without the jail social workers streamlining, getting all of that stuff going, we're about to see what's going to happen. Because I've been here for about 8.5 years. I've been started as a care program, then the RAP program, then RAP Plus. And I've seen the different ways that the system has changed with getting people funding. We used to have somebody that came over to the jail to do Rule 25s. It was one person, and if somebody wanted to get set up with treatment and funding, they had to call over here and wait for her to come over there. And so, of course, there's people backed up waiting to get treatment lined up, to get the funding lined up. Having that social worker position in the jail is a direct access to the funding piece over here to streamline all that, get that going. Having one person dedicated to not only do that, but set up, get those assessments sent where they need to go, and then coordinate appointments in the jail. That's all things that this position has shown to really get people where they need to be quicker. And so I think we're about to see what's going to happen if we don't have a jail social worker anymore. In fact, tomorrow we have to have a meeting to figure out what we're going to do in the meantime, to make sure people aren't stuck in the jail waiting to get set up for treatment.
I guess where I was going with this is to prove the legitimacy of the program, if you knew your total rate of it's a different word, recidivism, there we go. Repeat offenders, whatever you want to call them. We would need the comparison. So I'll give you an example. If the total rate of all the inmates, let's say we had 400 inmates, was 17%, and we have a program that we're paying big money for, and we only drop it by 2, I would say, boy, we're probably not doing much, right? But if the total rate was 60 or 70%, like we see in the NASH 40 to 70% on national average, and you're saying the people that do graduate, we can drop that to 17, and that is a reflection of a percentage of the total people that are put through the system, meaning that the cost savings to the taxpayer, see, I'm trying to justify the cost. But we have to have the number with, we have to have the number without, and then we have to compare that on a percentage basis to say, hey, we've reduced it overall by XYZ percent, right? So if we have 70% offenders, our portion is 25% of that 400 that we've affected, and we've reduced that down to 15. There's a percentage of the percentage, and then you can calculate the cost savings to the community, and we say, hey, look at this, guys. And that's how we're going to come up with, this is a great program to fund.
Yeah.
You see where I'm going with that?
I do.
That's exactly what I'm trying to do here.
Yeah.
And if those numbers work, congratulations. You know, if they're off, we need to look at the program and say, okay, guys, what can we do to do a better job? How do we continue to fund it? Is there something we're missing? And how do we sell it to the taxpayer that says, hey, this is good for the community? So that's what I'm trying to establish.
Yeah.
And
I appreciate that.
like we were talking about, we might be able to get you some of those numbers once we are able to collaborate with, and put some of the data that I've been collecting
Just for the,
Into-
but just for the county.
into a, yeah.
Yeah,
into a
just for the
program
county. Yeah. And then we could compare it to the state and national averages and, you know, and say, hey, this is how we fall. And you see where I'm going.
Yeah.
Yep.
And yeah, just as for reference, you all approved a grant that I submitted to the Office of Justice Programs from the state in July. I should be hearing by the end of the week. I really wished I had an answer for you today on that. But in that request was money to help develop that system so that we can pull that data a little bit more easily so that we can prove that value even more easily. Right now, it's a lot of manual data between Trish and I to try and come up with any of these numbers. And then just one more note, I don't think I said explicitly before. So the reason I'm giving this information on the jail social worker in particular is because that position does fall as a line item under the Rep Plus program. Although as we are talking about, her impact of that role is seen throughout the jail. It's not just for a Rep Plus. So that just that tie in case I know it's a little confusing. We're moving back and forth between numbers for those two things. I think we've gone through a lot of this, but just one thing I'll call out there for 18 other counties. So that would be the MICA counties plus metro counties. 17 have a jail social worker or similar role. So this is by no means, I know you said you didn't like leading new territory earlier. We are not here. We are just about the status quo. And I'll just mention that jail social worker position is critical for maintaining that ROI that we are currently seeing, and just not only just for graduates, but that smooth continuation of care and that person-centered approach for specifically for mental health and substance abuse treatment. To the next.
thank you to you and all the staff that work on the program. This is a great example of how it's much wiser to build a fence at the top of a cliff than the saying usually goes in a hospital at the bottom of the cliff. But I would add, it's wiser to build a fence at the top of the cliff versus a hospital or a jail at the bottom of it. Now, some of people are falling or have fallen and they're in jail, but thank you for the work that all of you do on this program. And I know it's difficult, and it would be nice to have that information to talk, to demonstrate the ROI, to explain to
I
people.
think we need to monetize it.
Yep, yeah, definitely. But thank you for all the work that each and one of you do, because this is, especially when you begin to collaborate with partners like Hiawatha Valley Mental Health, and you start moving people. And I think what Commissioner Ward was asking earlier is that people don't need to take part in this, right? It's only people aren't
Rep Plus
forced.
program is voluntary.
And
Yep.
so you can't force someone to go to chemical addiction treatment or mental health unless they want to do it. So, but thank you to all of you for the work that you guys do.
Commissioner Elson.
I just think the future of this program is going to come down to the monetization and really being able to show the true cost savings. And we realize it's a fluctuation, but it's a hard sell to the public because not everybody understands it.
Mhm.
And so it's oftentimes one of the easiest things to get rid of.
Mhm.
So for the future of the program, if it truly is a taxpayer savings, figure out how to monetize it. Do the math, put the nuts and bolts and say, here's where it's at. I'm a nuts and bolts sort of guy. I may not be in here forever, but if there's value to it, I would encourage that.
Yeah, I would encourage you to be asking those questions. I would want those questions answered if I were in your seats also.
But it can't be funding, it can't be funded totally on property tax dollars. You made a comment here, 80% employment rate for graduates, more tax generated by the county. Well, we don't work on income tax. I mean, it's great, it's good. They got jobs and they're paying rents and everything else, but the county works on property tax. We don't work on income variables.
But employment can equal home ownership and things
Yeah,
like that,
yeah.
but yes.
But I mean, and as I said earlier, we're not the justice system. There's higher levels, federal and state, that need skin in the game. We can't assume their responsibilities, is my point, is that we can have some skin in the game, but it can't be all on local property taxes. Because you said 18 do, 69 other counties don't. And you picked out 18 counties, Micah. That's your bigger metropolitan, bigger populated, with bigger tax bases and such. So the small counties.
Not necessarily. There are some that are.
Well,
I'm
Micah-
sure some that do. I just didn't have the time to go. I
Micah's
personally
pretty
called
clean
all of these.
as a general rule, but there's 69 counties that don't have it.
And
Commissioner
this is
Bagley.
just an update. There's no.
Yeah, there's no action
Yeah.
required.
Right.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Such.
You're not done though.
No, she's not done. yet.
Well,
More
yeah,
slides.
I know I've taken up a lot of your time, but yeah, so I'll finish up
Testimonials.
quickly here. Yeah. So just a testimonial there from Catherine Meineke, who's a probation agent and a real champion of the program. She refers a lot of her clients, and just something I'll highlight from that. Often resources in Winona County are sparse, especially regarding mental health and homelessness. This program is working to address both. I've watched and continue to see the RAP Plus program positively influence lives and help individuals work towards stabilization related to all the mentioned struggles. The more people we stabilize, the better off our entire community is. Couldn't agree more. And then there's a very long note from Karen Hyder because she wanted to be here but couldn't. And the part I will highlight of that is hand in hand with case management comes the financial component of RAP Plus that has been a lifesaver for our clients time and time again. Numerous times RAP Plus has saved a client of mine, let alone others in the RAP Plus program, from homelessness. A first month's rent payment or payment when a client is in between jobs has stabilized them to the point where they can actually work on their other priorities: treatment, mental health, recovery. Job placement is at an all-time high for treatment court since RAP Plus began, and I think that's a correlation rather than coincidence. Our clients have stable homes to return to, bus passes for transportation, and shoes on their feet so they can put their best foot forward in securing employment. After all, that's what this community wants from clients in the criminal justice system, is to recuperate, repair, recover. A financial boost from RAP Plus at times has made the difference in propelling clients forward in the community and become community members they have long desired to be but couldn't get there alone. And I wanted to bring up our other case managers for other testimonials, but unfortunately, we didn't get anybody to agree to telling their stories publicly here. But I just want to emphasize how much this program makes Winona County a better place to live by increasing public safety and decreasing the burden and costs on the justice system. And I appreciate your time. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Thank you.
Tell them next time we don't bite, they can come.
There were two folks last year, wasn't there?
Yeah, we had a couple, we've had.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Moving on to 8.2, receive update from Recorders Department. Bob, good evening.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Bob, you just keep, real estate, you just keep
Well, and
moving things.
I'll tell you what, I got the message at the last meeting that you want a hard
Brought your
copy.
paper?
So, John paid for him again.
Did he?
He's delighted to do that.
Thank
He says it's the most important information in Winona County. He's feeling better, but he's definitely. having
Isn't he the
challenges.
organist,
Yeah.
right?
So
John Beamer?
we're-
Didn't he have a
Signs tonight.
Didn't have a stroke?
I haven't talked to John for a while.
Thank you.
Did you find the car keys?
That your set that was lost?
It was right on the ground, right in front of us, so we didn't see
I
it.
was gonna ask what kind of car it was. I could have,
Yeah.
I could have updated.
There's such hope I get from the chair of the board, she's gonna take the car.
I could update. I can
She
update.
doesn't really mean it.
Oh.
No, I just paid for licenses in the state of Minnesota, and that's outrageous what we pay for car plates in the state of Minnesota.
I just did too. It was, yeah.
Terrible. Bolte smirking. She lives in Wisconsin. It's a lot cheaper. It is.
Okay, the third quarter of 2025 has passed us by, but it definitely made marks in the real estate business. We had 3 months where we saw the average price of a home and also the number of homes during that third quarter both take a jump. It was positive in the fact that we had some more homes become available. And in the 3 months, I'm going to point out one of them to you, especially July. We had a number of homes that became available in the west part of Winona, in the area of West Broadway, kind of just before you get to the Quick Trip. In that greater area, there were 4 or 5. And those buyers were just ecstatic. There have not been prices in that range for buyers for some time. And they were delighted. And it also gave us a more realistic overview of the homes that sold and the different prices. We got hung up a couple of months. It was really on the high end. And that happened again in this last quarter, and I'll point that out to you. But let's see, we had 162 homes that sold during July, August, and September. And that compared to 147 during the 3 months just prior to that. So it was 11% increase. And in today's market, 11%, that's a pretty good increase. At the end of September, the average price was $318,000. A month earlier, the end of August, it was $299,000. And between those 2 months, that was a 12% increase in September. During both the second and third quarters, the highest number of sales were in the 200 to 250,000 price range. During the second quarter, there were 30 sales. And then in the third quarter, there were 33. All right, this 200 to 250 is a number that we want to look at pretty closely. I did a program for the Learning Club a couple weeks ago, and I had one of the office managers at one of the real estate offices come and share some information from the standpoint of a real estate person. And this party was especially knowledgeable because that party works in 3 different areas of Southeast Minnesota. So she kind of concentrated on Winona, but gave a little overview of the 3. She said when questioned by some of the people there, what really is the cost of a home for a first-time buyer or a person starting out? And she said 300,000, maybe a little more. And that question keeps coming up. And I always suggest to people that they talk to a realtor. We can tell you what the prices are when they're recorded, but we don't speculate on what they might be out in the market. I think that's pretty, there's so many variables. You need your realtor, and that's how you can work through that. But put your shoes on for a person that is buying a starter home or trying to get a home on the lower end in Winona, 250,000. I can see it's better than 300,000. And I'm glad to see that at least a small group of people were able to buy.
But Bob, does a $250,000 home in Winona need a new roof and a new heater and air conditioning and siding and windows? And is it really a truly move-in ready home when you
What?
start in that low range?
And I asked that question about the four homes, and I didn't pull all the information and analyze it, but the thought was that probably there is a little updating needed. Now, we're being kind when we say a little.
Yeah.
I take that to mean where you want to put your emphasis. Maybe you can get by in the home the way it is for a while.
Sure.
I did talk to one party that was trying to buy on the far east side of Winona, and she had the dollars needed, but she said what it was going to take to make the home livable, she did not have. And that, and I don't mean they're all that way, but
No, but there's.
there's a lot of people I talk to during each week. Some are at our office, some are stopping on the street, and they've got a question, or they said, hey, I just had a chance, I got my offer in. So, I'm waiting. One lady one day told me she had her fingers crossed. So it's out there. It's something we're living with. And I show an interest to all people. I want them to get a home in it, and I really want them to do well. And that is a challenge in Winona County. All right, so that's a little bit there. Let me just make another comment or two. During the third quarter, we had 29 sales over 400,000. That's pretty strong on that number. Here's the top three. 790,000 for a home and some acreage on Prairie Island. 775,000 bought a home in Pleasant Valley, nice home. Some brick and some wooded area. And then in East Burns Valley, there was a nice home that sold for 710,000. During, I think the final month, shows on our second page here where we've got all of the listings month by month and then the price ranges. It looks like 12 of them over 400,000 in September, and that'd be the high number for all the months of the year through September. All right, after that, we kind of looked at the numbers, and with that really good July that we had, we continue to be just a little bit ahead of 24, 410 and 25, and 404 homes in 24. And even though it's just a few, we're ahead, and that's a very positive place to be. All right, our rural land sales, we talked about that a little bit the last quarter. We've got 28 sales as of the third quarter. During the third quarter, we added 12, and 3 of the 12 had buildings. And also in that number, 11 of the 12 third quarter buyers had a Winona County mailing address. And we're going to talk some more about that during the update I'm doing for you. But that's something that is being asked, and that was a terrific answer to see. That usually not quite that high, usually a little bit less than that. But anyway, in that particular group, 11 of 12, that's very positive. There was a mixture of sales. We talked a little bit about a high-end one that came in just as I was talking to you at the last quarter. High sale, 1.9 million paid for 159 acres in Hillsdale Township. It brought the acreage there per acre to 12,000. Commercial sales, we really added during the last quarter. And we had 14 more sales. There's a couple of them that were really of interest to a lot of people. And I'm going to say one of them was the Black Horse property. There's many people that have really fond memories of feeding there, doing some volleyball. just being near the river. And it's been a very special place to us, and many people are, hoping that it will be able to return to the way it was. It was sold by the Kowalski family to Land and Properties, and the price on it was $598,000. I did hear a presentation on the plans, but it was right before the sale. So not sure if they've changed, but at that point, they were hoping to do some and keep working on it and eventually get it back. And that sounded pretty positive. All right, there were a couple other things. I mentioned the former Freedom gas station on Mankato Avenue sold, price there $336,000. And then to look at the group of sales, the 30, it was interesting to see that there were 3 restaurants, 3 apartment buildings, and 3 general retail. So they're spread out, and it tells us that there is definitely buyer interest in all the properties, no matter what they are.
Bob, can I stop you and ask a question?
Sure.
I want to back up a bullet point. I get asked every so often, and I have to defer that this is not a county issue. It's a city, it's not even a city issue, but it says the parking lot at Fifth and Winona near the Interstate Bridge was sold by Fastenal to River Tides for $3.5 million. Can you give me a quick summary of what's going on there so I can help? Because I refer people to the city, refer people to the Port Authority. That's private property now. These are all private transfers. It's a parking lot. Or is that too different?
There have been quite a number of questions. Another commissioner has asked, and I made a couple of calls and I've not received anything back. And also at a couple of the public presentations that were done, and we had the best attendance in the last 2 years. It's way up rather than down.
That's the,
Same kind of questions asked.
that's the former that's actually the YMCA one, isn't it? The one.
Yes.
It's not this one under the bridge. It's one over.
Yes,
So you don't know the answer yet?
not yet. And we'll see what's being offered.
If you.
I do know we do know that there is some interrelationship with all the properties in the art and music center.
Gotcha.
And I do know that there was a mailing the last couple of weeks for people to become involved and make a donation to help with the expenses that remain for the art and music center.
Okay. Commissioner, also you don't know, do you? The river, okay. If you find out, please.
Yes.
I get asked.
And that's saying,
Thank you.
he's buying it.
Yeah.
On the handout, the second page shows you the numbers month by month and then through the price ranges. And it's a real easy reference to go back a year or two and kind of see what was happening then. And, like many of the people that look at it say, oh, if I could only be back in March of, 2023. And, it brings back those kind of memories too.
Yep.
But the information's there. Want to mention that in the 3 months, I've given you the spreadsheets and 68 sales in July. It really was, it was a big month. It was our biggest of the year, and not by just a couple, but by several. And everyone was thrilled to see that. We just didn't have many places that were viable coming up on the market, or the other thing that was happening is there'd be several people and then the prices were going up. But we came out with some here that met the budget of some people, and we're really thrilled about that. And that gives you more information if you want to look at location, what the actual sale price was, and that might give you a little bit more information background. Then August, again, that had quite a number of high-end homes on it, so that made history that month. And September, the highest number of high-end months for that particular month. So that was, I guess, in our record of 25 at this point, pretty historical. That's for Winona, it's a pretty significant number of homes on the high end. All right, I don't want to get too long here. On the rural land sales, the last quarter, we had 12. And I mentioned about 11 of the 12 having Winona County mailing addresses. Only add to it that we had a couple of sales that were kind of some wooded or hillside, and prices there were 66 to 71, 72. We're not getting a big number, and it doesn't give you a lot to work with for the people that are in the appraisal business. All right, I mentioned about the commercial sales, so the next page is 262. And this one, I'm really, really proud to bring you this information tonight. It started as a request from a couple of the commissioners, but over the last 2 months, there have been numerous requests from the public. We have the information, but the way it's assembled, it just takes us a little bit of time to pull it forward. And really the question was, who are the owners of the land in Winona County? And I was told that at our planning department open
plan
house, is that right?
Yeah.
There was mention of Houston County and maybe beyond 50% of them being out of county landowners. So here's what we did. We thought we needed to take a reasonable number of years, otherwise there's got to be a double check. Some could be sold and then that would skew the numbers that I'm giving you. I think 6 is a reasonable number of years to work with. We've got good documentation in front of us. Basically looking at those lists, we can almost tell if there's been a sale. We're a little bit short on the end of the year here for 2025, but keeping that in mind, for what I'm going to call 6 acres, a little bit short, 288 sales were listed on our land sales. So we compiled them and put them together. 189 land only. Then we had land and buildings, 99. And so when we looked at it, we looked at those that were 100 acres or more, and then we looked at 100, less than 100 acres. The 100 and more, there's 71. And we made our determination by using mailing addresses within Winona County. And that is probably the best that we can do for determining the location of the owner of the property. 47%, or excuse me, 47 or 66% were in Winona County. That's the 71 with 100 acres or more. And we dropped down to the 100 acres or less. And that one we didn't do quite as well on. We had 33% that had mailing addresses outside of Winona County, so it was 24 parties. Certainly in the scope of this, we had almost double the number that had a mailing address in Winona County. So when you look at the whole picture, it's still pretty positive. Then we went to the sales that were under 100 acres, 217, and I didn't give you that information correctly. It was the balance of those that were over 100 acres. There were 24 that had an address that was outside of Winona County, 34% almost, and that brought us pretty close to 100%. So it's positive to see that 66% had an address within Winona County. When we went to those that are under 100 acres, and keep in mind, when you get into this group, it's often that there's a few acres in the rural area with the property. It's not just a house like you usually see in town. So we're just saying that they have some acreage under 100. And in that case, there were within Winona County 161 or 74%. Those that had mailing addresses outside of Winona County, 56, 56, and that would be 26%. And again, keep in mind that can represent a number of different acreages along with the building. We got you tallied earlier, how many had buildings, how many didn't. But the last 2 columns here are certainly ones to take a look at. It's been some time since we probably had some numbers like this and for the board to look at. But the total acres sold, 21,952, and the total price paid, $157,355,595. And that's pretty,
Mhm.
I think that's a pretty significant number.
You know that?
Until I actually saw the numbers and saw that in print, I wouldn't have guessed that it was quite that high. A little bit less than that.
Bob, how many acres in the county? 47?
Off the top of my head, I need to check it. Do we have an idea on that? Total acres in county?
It'd be interesting to know the total number of acres in
I'll look it
Winona
up.
County. And then what do we have it on the tax rolls for?
Yes.
491.
491? Okay, you Googled.
Wait, no, wait,
No, no,
that's not right.
no.
That's-
407,000.
You got it? 407,000?
407,000.
And what's our tax assessor have that valued at? Does it say what it's, what we have it assessed
Probably.
at?
No, you could get that from that,
Yeah. It's out there. Figure this.
oh, no, we have it like.
I was thinking it was
23,
470,
I'd
47, but
Okay.
Madam Chair.
I knew it was in the
Here's
forties.
Here's the backup, and I didn't print this, reach the commissioners,
Oh,
but
that's
if you
okay.
want to pass around and take a quick look, you can just see. It's interesting to see all the addresses that are there.
Oh, okay, sure.
And I can email that, or we can get a hard copy for you, whatever you'd like to have.
Thank you, Bob, for doing this. This is very interesting.
Yep. Thanks.
And I thought you could take a check on that, and if you're interested, we'll either email it out or get you a hard copy, whatever you'd like.
And I had a county commissioner from Houston take issue with that 50% is owned by, he questioned that. We didn't check into it, but he questioned.
About 26
That-
or
that-
260.
That was a
farm
broad
typical.
statement about Houston County.
That came
Okay.
up.
All right.
Commissioner Ward and I
who-
were at a comp meeting, the last comp plan.
Yeah, and somebody said that. Well, I'd be a statistic because I live in Winona County, but I own land in Houston County. I'm part of that, yeah.
Yep, or a
And-
landowner, yep.
Yep.
And look closely at both of those percentages. The first one, I mixed it up a little bit, and I'm sorry on that. The numbers that are there are accurate. They were gone over several times. All right, just one thing real quickly. You've asked me several times to keep you posted on the vital records. There is a sheet in the handout. We've got presently 185 marriages. It would look like, maybe we're just down just a little bit. But the interesting thing that happened was I think for the only time in working as the county recorder, during COVID, I got a memo from the federal government that we should expect fewer marriages during COVID. And I thought, well, that could work either way. Some people are, they're going to want to be taking care of each other, and maybe, they may decide to get married. Well, anyway, the number of marriages didn't go up, it dropped. So now in 23 and 24, we started getting back to some realistic numbers. And 25, we're just a little bit behind that. And there's a lot that can still happen in the year. The number of births, and those are fully Winona County births, 110. And the deaths is 233. That's behind just a little bit, but we're really happy when we can report that. Just want to keep our residents with us. All right, this is the big one, the land notification. And I was at Lakeville today for a 6-hour program, a big significant part of it devoted to this and some other topics. And I learned that Triman, who is the software company that we work with, is now got the most county accounts in Minnesota for land notification. And I think that's very positive. I like being part of one of the bigger groups. And they are, I think, just putting a lot of effort into it. So what does land notification do? Why are we doing it? For one thing, there is forgery and fraud across the United States, but we've all heard the headlines and we've looked at it, the numbers of cases in Chicago. And I mention Chicago because we have a significant population of students in Winona County that are from the Chicago area. And in addition to that, we have a lot of former graduates of Winona State and St. Mary's that live in the Chicago area. So back and forth, there's people here that are familiar with Chicago. There's people there familiar with us. It's just one that I think a lot of people are taking a look at. Let me just say that the notification is an alert it warns property owners when there are recordings in our office on your personal name or your business. And each time an alert is triggered, an email or a text is sent providing information, including the date and the type of document. And you have that. And if you've not done something like that, you need to start following up. And there's a number of ways you can do that. If we really have a problem going and we can determine that immediately, the Winona County Sheriff by statute is the party to contact. We can help you, we can give you information, we can verify documents. All right, land notification alerts, they're free. They're free in all the counties that are doing them. We are wanting to help property owners. Once you are signed up, you may create multiple alerts as needed. You can name your spouse, a parent, a grandparent. You will only receive an email or a text. It isn't out there for everything imaginable. It is being conducted on those two manners, with email or with a text. And when your alert information matches a new document recorded at the county recorder's office, you're going to get an alert. And you'll get an alert if something doesn't match and it's coming in your name, and that'll come from us. You must, it is all computerized, but our people are watching at the same time. And we have people that are very knowledgeable in the business. And I want to say the overnight television that goes on just about all the channels, having people throwing documents on a recorder's office and they get recorded, they're never looked at. I assure you that it is not the case in Winona County. And because we have statute and we have special taxes, each document has to be looked at by the recorder and by the auditor treasurer. And then at the end of processing, there's a second look by the recorder's office. That's 3 for sure. And I'm not talking about a long, bunch of time being involved. There's certain key things that we're looking for, and absolutely those looks take place. The whole thing overnight, somebody's trying to make some business there, and it's not what's needed in Winona County. All right, why should I sign up? Mortgage and real estate fraud, it's growing, we know that. If an illegal issue occurs in your name, on your record, it could be related to your property, and it could be someone that's trying to make financial gain or acquire your assets. And if that happens, and you've signed up with us, you're going to be alerted and you're going to have the contact from us, and you can follow up with the authorities at that point. And again, land notification, the software was upgraded about 3 months ago. We went through a long process of working with the upgraded software, and I've been complimented for doing that. Some of the counties were working with the old, trying to work through the new, and they said that became a real hassle. So it took us a little bit longer, but we worked with one software and put all our time into it, and that's the latest available. And I thank you for all this time tonight. We had a lot going here, and some of the questions that I tried to address tonight were from the county board.
Thank you for that.
All right, thank you, Bob.
Thank you. Okay. 8.3, approve, decline Apple Blossom Park Outdoor Recreation Grant. I thought this is a different action than last meeting?
The board, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Was that?
Good evening.
Okay.
Yeah, this dates back to April 22nd, when we had brought the bids for the Apple Blossom Outdoor Grant forward. At the time, the decision on the grant was tabled for 6 months.
Oh.
So at this point, it's just formally, we would need it removed from the table. The DNR has asked us to formally accept or decline the grant. So we just need board action on it.
We'll move.
You have to say whether you're accepting
Yeah.
or declining.
We just have
The
to.
staff recommendation is to decline it, correct?
At this point, it would be difficult to
Build the
execute.
pavilion.
Yeah.
I'll
yeah.
second the motion. to
Okay,
decline.
so I have a motion by Commissioner Elzine, second by Commissioner Vagley to decline the DNR
outdoor recreation grant.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed nay. Okay. All right,
Thank you, Ross.
Um, Then 8.4, appoint 2026 AMC delegates. I think that is filled out in the chart. Is
I'll move.
anybody wanting to move or change?
I'll move to approve the recommendations as listed on page 266, unless someone wants to.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Yes.
If I could just note that we are recommending to add Jill Schaefer as the Health and Human Services Director Representative on page 267. So if the board would also accept that, please.
Yes.
Well, that, I don't have a problem with that, but if both Commissioner Meyer and Jill I think each county only gets one vote. So
So, voting, yes, but I think she
Yeah.
should be noted as the contact, for that
Okay.
area.
I will just have to direct her to, yeah,
That's
and we
good.
only get one vote. Okay,
Yes.
all right. So we have a motion by Commissioner Vagley, seconded by,
Do we have a second yet?
no.
I'll second it.
Okay, second by Commissioner Meyer to approve the appointments according to staff recommendation. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Okay, approved. All right, then moving into Commissioner Vagley, you had announcements and requests for board action?
I needed to double check this with, thank you, yes, with Administrator Holte. So our next meeting is not on a Tuesday. It's on a Wednesday.
Correct.
So because Tuesday falls on Veterans Day.
Correct.
So I needed, when I was looking at, I had in sub-plans, et cetera. So this is for the public and for anybody else who might be interested. It's a reminder, the next time we meet in the morning, it'll be on a Wednesday and not a Tuesday because of Veterans Day.
Which is the
Oh, I
12th.
didn't have it. So we're meeting the
12th?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay,
I needed to change my.
Okay.
Thank you for calling it out.
yeah, I didn't have that down there. Okay.
So it's on a Wednesday and not a Tuesday. And then I've not talked with anyone about this. I would like to request a future agenda item to consider making some kind of contribution to the Winona County homeless shelters. And I don't have a specific proposal in mind. The thinking would be is that would not be an increase. It would be a shuffle from existing funds or a reorganization. And I have some ideas for that, but
I'll give you a second to have the conversation.
thank you. And there was a third item, but I think that I'm going to leave that. If I think somebody else might talk about there was an article in the Saturday's Winona Daily News. I think Ms. Holte forwarded the article. Thank you for doing that because it's something that we talked about the Health and Human Services Advisory Committee. It is people put on their radar. There's going to be a big increase in need at the local food shelves and anybody that serves free community meals.
All right. Let's see, Commissioner Elsing.
No, a couple of things, just bringing up again, the April 22nd, September 9th that was discussed in the deal, in the opening comments, I guess, the public comments. Where does that fall? What is that? Did that fall dead? Why wasn't that brought up?
Well, I guess the public data request, I know Attorney Krantz sent out a very long detailed, but I don't know if that technically was adopted as a policy.
I don't
Ms.
know.
Holte.
Yeah, I just wanted to
So-
follow up on that.
Clarification was sent to the whole board and
Yep.
PC to Ms. Sonneman, explaining the process, the policy, et cetera. And I didn't hear that the board still wanted it brought back. You wanted an understanding of the process and did we have a policy?
That was pertaining to the April 22nd.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
the-
data.
Data.
That request, yep.
And then, my notes on the committee, Citizen Finance Committee is that we were going to wait until there was a finance director on board.
Right.
If I misunderstood, I apologize, but that's what my notes said.
Yeah, I would agree with it, both now, but the public data, was that shared with I remember getting the
Well,
email,
full board
got
was
the
but-
email.
that.
but does the public know? Was it posted anywhere?
Not
See,
to my
that's where
knowledge.
the people that are requesting public data need to know the process. So
Oh,
we put it in a,
process is in the policy.
Yeah, and it's in the.
but where's
website.
where do they find it on the website? Pardon me?
Website.
Yeah, it's on the website.
How? I mean, that website is
Yeah,
not
the
user
front.
friendly.
It's usually, used to be on the front, I think, to make a
Commissioner
data
Meyer, can you
practices
go to
request.
our-
I don't know, is it? I don't use that. That website is not
I'm
user
asking
friendly.
Commissioner Meyer to take a peek at the
Okay, I
website.
mean,
Right,
if it's
and is it
there,
the
Yeah.
policies?
And the
I think it's
policies are
on the
there.
Front.
Yeah, yeah.
the very front page,
Yeah, the
I guess
back.
I haven't ever
Oh.
looked for it, but
Right.
that's part of the question is
We
how
also
does
haven't
somebody
looked at
from
it
the
for a
public
while either,
know
but
what the
it-
process is?
We keep it
And if
there.
we
Just
keep,
good?
But yeah, but even if they go under, how do I?
How do
Say,
How do
I,
I
okay,
make
how
a-
do
yeah.
I?
go in the search engine.
Public records request.
Yeah.
Okay, it is there then.
Yeah.
Okay, and that is the updated
Policy?
with Mr. Krantz.
Yep.
Okay, I guess part of the issue is, did we ever, I mean, that's his opinion. That's a lawyer's opinion, but did we accept it as a policy of the board? And I don't think we did.
Well, but there's the policy is really what the data practices office, and you adopted it years ago.
Mhm.
We're supposed to review it every August, I think, but we
Mhm.
haven't
Okay,
done that.
see, I think that's where the issue is, that
Okay.
the board never really took action on it.
Well,
I think that's part of their
It
concern.
hardly changes except for the new laws that come in to say what can and can't be released, so, but.
Ms.
yeah.
Solti.
I can resend the email, but I believe it
Let's look
also
at it.
had the policies attached to it.
Do it.
Okay,
Mhm.
and again, that would be in that document on the website?
The
The
policies. yeah.
policies are not on that. That is the actual request. So the portal for you to make a request.
Okay, so I think the citizen is wondering, what is the policy? So how do we let the citizenry know what our policy is as far as data?
I will
threats?
look to see if that is actually on the
It
website.
Okay.
is, and I think you have to kind of dig for it if it's not up the front.
Yeah, that's
so
what I'm
we
saying.
should
I mean,
probably
and
move
see,
it
that's
to
part of the
front.
issue.
Yeah,
They want to know what the
yeah.
policy is.
Yeah.
Okay,
Just
we'll follow up
Add
on
it
that
To the
then.
little thing, how do I
All
make
right,
a
and do
request?
we
And
have a
here's the
fully
policy.
installed financial officer?
November
Not yet.
sometime.
The 17th is the start date.
Okay,
Start date.
okay,
Right then.
and I can see beginning of the next year, putting that into a priority. Okay, all right, is that
Yeah.
it?
No, thank you. I think that, I guess I'm gonna maybe take a little fault on just not bringing that up. And sometimes we have to bring things up when we get answers. You know what I mean? To public, that's a lot of times why I bring things up and pull things, because I want public involvement and to hear what we're talking about rather than just approve something without discussion, because it looks just like that. We don't discuss things, right? So, there's that part. The thing I want to bring up was just, we saw it. We saw what it's going to cost us, and, this is, I think sometimes best intentions, aren't always fully carried out and really thought through, but we talk about the employee paid leave situation, and I mean, I obviously have my fair share of employees, but reality of it is we had to make a decision. What percentage of this do we pay as a small business? And now granted, in comparison to the county, it's significantly less, but I also can't just go take people's money by law. So I have to earn it. So the common consensus was this. It was considered a benefit to my employees. And so thus, the only way I could pay for it is to not give them that percentage of raise. In essence, they paid for it all out of their own pocket. And when asked, every single one of my employees, I said, would you rather have the raise or the potential to maybe use this? Every single one of them said I would have rather had the raise. So we need to be careful when we're setting policy, because it looks good. But honestly, when you go ask real people, that's how it sets. So in government, it hits home as a business owner, because I felt bad when I have to go to them and say, I'm sorry, this is forced upon you. And so I want to say that when we're making decisions, that we understand they were all very disappointed. That's it.
All right. Couple things. We had our Association of Minnesota Counties Regional Meeting on Monday. And everybody's levy is, I think the lowest levy out of the, is it 11 counties? Was Wabasha was maybe at 5%. Everybody else is like 6, 5.99, 6.5, 7.9. Olmsted County, remarkably 6.8, but you can imagine the tax base that Olmsted County has and how much that grows. But everybody has very high preliminary levies. And the biggest issue, of course, is our people. our wages, our benefits, the things like this, family paid leave, health insurance. Now, interestingly enough, we weren't the worst. Freeborn County had like a 43% increase. Now, they are going self-insured. Some counties.
In
are-
their insurance or their levy?
No, their insurance.
Okay,
rate.
thank you.
But they're going to
Oh my
go
God.
self-insured on their health insurance, which again,
Interesting.
that'll be interesting to follow and see where it goes. But that, everybody's doing like, living on less, they're calling in, a lot of, temporary, wage or hiring freezes, trying to manage things with other, entities, and a lot of discussion there, but nobody's got a real, nobody can solve the problem yet. I mean, it is a problem. We did have some discussion on our favorite topic here, rifle versus shotgun. And I did get a letter from the Department of Natural Resources, which was unusually quick because they were supposed to send something out to counties before May, I think it was March or May, and they sent it already. And there was some clarification that if we would do our own ordinance, then both enforcement, the county sheriff and the Minnesota Department of Natural Resource Conservation officers have the authority to enforce the provisions, but it doesn't say they will. And then another thing, I love when they put this in there, that penalties, a person who violates this ordinance, and this would be if you kept a shotgun, didn't follow the state law, shall be punished by the fine of up to $1,000, imprisonment, or not more than 90 days, or both. And I said, okay, so they're telling us we deviate from the law, but they're telling I can only fine them $1,000. How about if I want $10,000? How about I got to generate some revenue in this county? Who's telling me I can do this, but I can only, so I did put a call into Senator Drazkowski because he's kind of was the main author here. Are they really telling me I can only, do $1,000? Maybe it needs to be more. I don't know. But most of the counties, only 2 have really, nobody's taken action. Steele County, because they're so flat that they fear bullets will travel from one end of the county to the other. They're probably going to stay shotgun. Mower might, they're undecided, but nobody else has really made a decision. And surprisingly enough, Olmsted, who was kind of the culprit of this whole thing, was relatively quiet. They hadn't said what they're going to do. But there is ordinances, you can't shoot within 500 feet of a municipality. You can't, something about livestock too. You can't shoot guns. So there's a lot of rules and laws already that need to be adhered to versus adding another rule to it. And the big question too is DNR, are they going to change their maps? Our county has about 3 different zones and it's a complicated mess. But there was some discussion and everybody was quite disappointed in what the legislator did for us there. And let's see. Remember daylight savings time? We change on Saturday night, Sunday. And so be very careful. There will be a lot of small children getting on buses or getting off buses in the dark. So just everybody be very aware when you see flashing lights or the flashing lights of the farm equipment. Do not, jeopardize people because it'll get dark. It'll get dark really quick. Now, won't it be dark at 5 o'clock instead of 6
At least.
and such? At least in the morning, they'll have some daylight, but it does affect traffic flow and everything, which is interesting. And oh, by the way, the AMC people, they were really enthralled with our 4 roundabouts in a way. I said, yeah, take your time, go through them a couple times, get the feel of them, because some counties have none, some have a lot, and we have 4 in a row. One of the things I would like to, for board action or have a presentation is we're hearing a lot about the criminal justice and everything, but we haven't heard anything how that brand new jail is working. And I've had a lot of people ask me, they preached all these programs and activities, and you're trying to tell us that our recidivism is right down, but we haven't heard from Steve Buswell or any of those people how all these programs are working, how the volunteers are working, how the quote new jail is working, and citizens are wondering, especially with their tax dollars going up. So I would need a second on that to get an update on our jail.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. I appreciate that. Anything else?
Yeah, I,
Yes.
yeah. So I wanted to give an update.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I wanted to give an update on the review of the hazard mitigation plan.
Yeah.
Ben Klinger has been working with the University of Minnesota Duluth, And so they did a draft version presentation. They've been working on it since January. It has to be finalized, I think, by the end of the year. And so they had been meeting with representatives of all the cities in the county, all the first responders, the schools, universities. It was pretty impressive. They had a website that has a series of maps. They picked like 15 possible hazards. So flooding or winter storms or, you know, whatever. And like pick flooding, they have a map of the county and they'll show history of where there have been declared emergencies or floods, what buildings or assets are inside of those areas, what the value of them is, so they can use that for planning, for projects that they do, but also for use when there are natural disasters, so they can come up with estimates. Part of the plan is it is also to write down certain measures that the municipalities or the county want to take, so that those are in the plan for potential future funding. So we will be able to make public comment for about 15 days. And if you have a real high degree of interest, I'm sure we could ask somebody to come give us a presentation.
I think Mr. Klinger was going to do something. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. All right.
I was
Okay.
impressed.
All right.
Okay, so yes, SNAP benefits, I think today was the cutoff. So SNAP benefits are canceled for the month of November. Olmsted County had passed a resolution to give $200,000 to Channel One Food Bank. I would like for us as a board to discuss giving an emergency donation to volunteer services and to the Hometown Resource Center to help meet the needs of folks who are hungry. We have about 3,200 individuals, 1,300 families, and the dollar benefit of the SNAP by month that comes into the county is like $440,000. I mean, it's a lot of money that we will have to be making up personally. So I'd be looking for a second to have a conversation about
I will
that.
second that.
Thanks. That's it.
I think Olmsted County was some type of match. They put up some money, but it was tied to somebody else matching that money. So it wasn't just, I don't know.
I'm not
if they
talking
did-
about $200,000 either.
Yeah, if they didn't get that, I don't know what I think there were some extra strings and such, so it wasn't just a yeah, okay, but yes, Mr. Senjum did bring that up. Okay, any other business to come before the Winona County Board?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion
I'll
to
second
adjourn.
that.
Okay, motion to adjourn by Commissioner Elsing, second by Commissioner Bagley. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Adjourn. Thank you.
It was a match idea.
Something, there was a match to it. The county was doing something and I don't know who they expected to